Ever catch yourself eyeing those perfectly ripe ruby red strawberries at the market and wonder just what goodness is packed into those little bites?
Uh-huh.
Or maybe you've had a moment of truth with the relentless chatter going on inside your own head.
Well, welcome to this deep dive where we explore the surprising desk our everyday topics. Today, we're sifting through a fascinating collection of recent findings.
Yeah, what do we got?
We're drawing from sources like Consumers 360 News Commentary, Consumer Trends and News Apr26'25, 2025, from consumers.app. It's a news aggregator podcast, gives a great snapshot of what's currently capturing consumer attention.
Exactly. And we're about to uncover some truly interesting connections. We'll be looking at the real nutritional punch that strawberries deliver, which is always good news.
Definitely. And the growing appetite for premium and organic products, not just for adults, but for babies, too.
Right. Plus the surprisingly strong influence of our inner dialogue, that self-talk.
Mm-hmm. And shifts happening in agriculture, how even running shoemaking is going green.
Going green, yeah. And clever ways people are dealing with budgets, like those recession meals.
We'll also touch on allergy-proofing homes, especially peanuts, and even the simple benefits of, putting your legs up the wall.
Okay, sounds like a packed agenda. Let's dive in. Get ready for some fresh perspectives.
Let's start with those vibrant strawberries. They're not just delicious. Sources like The Healthy at Reader's Digest mention they're packed with essential nutrients.
Like what specifically?
Well, consumers' research tells us they're a great source of vitamin C and folate, plus manganese and potassium. But what's really key is their richness in antioxidants.
Antioxidants, right. I hear that term a lot. Which ones?
Anthocyanins and ellagic acid are the main ones here. Think of them as tiny bodyguards helping your cells out.
Tiny bodyguards. I like that image.
Yeah.
So what exactly do these antioxidants do for us?
Well, consumers' research explains they play a crucial role in reducing something called oxidative stress and inflammation, too.
Okay, reducing inflammation. That seems important.
It is. Basically, our bodies create byproducts during normal function, and too many can be damaging. That's oxidative stress. Antioxidants help clean that up.
Gotcha.
And specifically, those anthocyanins. Research highlighted by consumers' research suggests they might help keep cholesterol levels healthy and support our blood vessels. Good for the heart.
So my morning smoothie with strawberries isn't just tasty. It's actually like doing some real work for my heart health.
What about the sugar, though? Fruit gets a bad rep sometimes for weight management.
That's a common concern, yeah. But consumers' research points out strawberries are relatively low in calories, and they've got good fiber content.
Fiber. That helps you feel full, right?
Exactly. That fiber is key because it aids satiety, makes you feel satisfied. So you might naturally eat less overall. Definitely helpful if you're watching your weight. It adds bulk without tons of calories.
That's good to know. Now, I also saw something about using leftover strawberry bits, like the waste.
Yeah, that's really smart. Consumers' research mentions using the byproducts, specifically the pomace. That's what's left after juicing. Okay, the pulp.
Right. Turns out it's still packed with those beneficial compounds. So it can be added to other foods to boost nutrition and cut down on waste. It's a win-win, really, making the most of everything.
Very resourceful. But are there any downsides? Can strawberries cause issues for anyone?
Well, yeah, like any food, some people might have problems. Consumers' research notes allergic reactions can happen. Often it's linked to proteins similar to those in birch pollen.
Birch pollen. Interesting link. What kind of reaction?
It can cause something called oral allergy syndrome. You might get itching or tingling in your mouth.
Right. Something to be aware of.
Yeah.
So for most of us, what's the best way to get those strawberry benefits?
Consumers' research suggests just working them into your diet however you like them. Fresh, in salads, smoothies, maybe a healthier dessert. Easy and delicious.
Simple enough.
And, on the tech side, consumers' research also mentions things like edible coatings and osmotic dehydration being used to extend shelf life while keeping the good stuff in. Pretty neat.
From the fruit bowl to the nursery. Let's talk baby care. There's apparently a big surge in premium wellness baby products in India.
Yes, the Financial Express reported on that. And consumers' research digs into why it seems to be driven largely by conscious consumerism.
Conscious consumerism, meaning parents are thinking more carefully about ingredients.
Exactly. That plus rising incomes. Parents are actively looking for organic options, things inspired by traditional practices like Ayurveda, stuff without synthetic chemicals. Brands like Dabur, Mate, Baby Forest are tapping into that.
It sounds like a trend mirroring what we see in adult beauty products, too.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, what's the deal with organic cosmetics generally?
There's a lot of interesting research. Consumers research talks about how organic cosmetics, especially those with natural phenolic compounds, are getting attention.
Phenolic compounds, what do they do?
They have some great properties photoprotective, so they help with sun damage, antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, even helping with skin discoloration.
Wow, sounds powerful.
They are, but using them effectively in cosmetics can be tricky, Formulation challenges, cost. These are compounds plants use to protect themselves, and we're trying to harness that for skin.
So are these natural beauty products actually, safer or better for us?
Consumers research suggests that generally, organic cosmetics might pose fewer risks because they rely on natural ingredients versus synthetics. But, and this is important, even natural stuff can cause allergies in some people. Always smart to do a patch test with anything new.
Good reminder. Now, the beauty industry can be slow with new products sometimes. Any improvements there?
Yes. Consumers research points to innovations in quality control, better scheduling, using computer modeling like simulated annealing.
Simulated annealing, okay.
Yeah, it helps streamline testing and development, basically getting products out faster.
Efficiency and beauty.
Yeah.
Like the sound of that. You mentioned those phenolic compounds again. How do they work in anti-aging stuff?
Well, consumers research explains their value comes mainly from those antioxidant properties. They help fight skin cell damage from pollution, sun, the usual suspects. Ingredients like bakuchiol, resveratrol, chrysin are being looked at for protecting skin and keeping it looking youthful.
Sounds promising. But the organic market isn't dominant yet, is it? What's holding it back?
Consumers research outlines a few hurdles. Formulating effective products naturally is complex. Regulations vary. Organic ingredients usually cost more. And building consumer trust, proving the claims scientifically, that's ongoing.
It's definitely complex. And scientifically, how are we understanding how these things even work on our skin?
Consumers research highlights advances using sophisticated computer models. They're called physiologically based pharmacokinetic models, or PBPK.
PBPK models. Sounds technical.
It is, but it essentially lets scientists simulate how ingredients get absorbed through the skin. It gives a much better picture of how substances interact with our skin layers. Leads to safer, maybe more effective products down the line, like a virtual skin lab.
Okay, let's switch from skin deep to deeper still. Our internal world. Self-concept. What is that exactly?
Right. Psychology Today explores this, and consumers research helps define it. Self-concept is basically the collection of beliefs you hold about yourself. Your abilities, personality, values. The mental picture of who you are.
And how is that different from self-esteem?
Good question. Self-esteem is how you feel about those beliefs, your evaluation of them. Self-concept is the belief itself. Self-esteem is the judgment on it.
Got it. So self-concept is what I think is true about me. Esteem is how I feel about that.
Exactly. And consumers research points out this self-concept acts as a really powerful internal guide. It shapes our emotional reactions, the choices we make.
How so?
It influences how we interpret things, past and present, our expectations for the future. It's like an internal blueprint guiding our behavior.
That makes a lot of sense. And that inner voice, our self-talk, how does that fit in?
Hugely important. Consumers research emphasizes how self-talk shapes self-concept. If you're constantly telling yourself negative things, I can't do this, that reinforces a negative self-belief.
And the opposite.
Positive, encouraging self-talk strengthens a positive self-concept. That can lead to more confidence, better actions, better feelings. It's a continuous feedback loop, really.
Like having your own inner cheerleader or critic. What are psychologists focusing on now with self-concept research?
Consumers research mentions a strong emphasis on understanding and improving self-awareness and self-management skills, looking at emotional psychology, personality. Self-concept is right at the center of that.
And here's a practical angle. How does knowing about my self-concept help with, say, managing my money?
Consumers research explains that a clearer self-concept can lead to better financial management, being realistic about your habits and attitudes.
Like admitting I'm an impulse shopper.
Exactly. Acknowledging that tendency, that part of your financial self-concept, lets you make more informed, responsible choices. It's about understanding your own financial behavior patterns.
So self-honesty can save me money. Powerful. And how does self-concept relate to our overall identity?
Consumers research clarifies it's a core part of self-identity. It's how we see and define ourselves, interacting with self-esteem and our social identities, the groups we belong to form our whole sense of me.
Fascinating. And are scientists even looking at the brain activity behind this?
They are. Consumers research touches on research linking psychological ideas like self-concept to brain activity. It's a field called neurophonomics. trying to understand the physical brain processes behind our thoughts and feelings about ourselves.
Okay, total shift now. Let's talk about agriculture, the land. There was news about a USDA climate program ending.
Yeah, the Baltimore Sun reported on the USDA's Climate Smart program being discontinued. Consumers Research described it as a pretty big initiative, $3 billion, aimed at supporting conservation, especially in the Chesapeake Bay watershed.
So, helping farmers be more environmentally friendly.
That was the goal. Its termination is apparently part of a wider USDA restructuring, though the specific reasons weren't fully detailed in the source material we reviewed.
Right. So what happens now that the program's gone? What are the potential impacts?
Consumers Research suggests it could significantly slow down conservation efforts in the Chesapeake Bay area because of that lost funding. Less progress on water quality, habitat restoration, that kind of thing.
And for the farmers there.
Well, Consumers Research points to possible economic effects, less financial help for farmers using sustainable methods. That could make it tougher, more expensive for them to keep doing it or for others to start.
A potential setback for green farming in that region. Now, thinking globally, Consumers Research mentioned climate change hitting African agriculture hard.
Yes, it's a really stark point. Agriculture in Africa is disproportionately affected by climate change, even though the continent contributes relatively little to global emissions. We're talking reduced crop yields, serious threats to food security.
That's a major challenge. On a more hopeful note, how is technology changing farming for the better?
Consumers Research discusses the Internet of Things, IoT. Think connected sensors and devices. It's advancing smart precision farming, especially in soilless methods like hydroponics.
So real-time monitoring, adjusting water, nutrients automatically.
Exactly. It allows for optimizing resource use, water, nutrients, energy, boosts yields, reduces waste.
What are the downsides? Cost.
Consumers Research mentions initial costs, and obviously dependency on the tech. But the potential benefits for productivity and resource conservation are huge, especially for global food production.
Farming is definitely changing. There was also news about making agriculture more welcoming for women and younger people.
Right. EWN reported on that. And Consumers Research suggests it's happening through policy changes, education, and technology, making farming more accessible and, frankly, more appealing to women and youth, creating a more inclusive, modern sector.
And what other tech innovations are boosting farming?
Consumers Research highlights things like ICT information communication technology, also blockchain, and various smart agriculture techniques. They're improving everything from managing crops day to day to making supply chains more transparent.
It's wild how even ancient practices influence us. Consumers Research mentioned the Incas.
Yeah. Their terrace farming systems were incredibly sophisticated. A great example of sustainable land management and diversifying crops, especially in mountains. Still relevant today.
And blockchain and farming, how does that work?
Consumers Research explains it boosts transparency and efficiency. You get a secure, traceable record of everything: irrigation, seeds, even financial transactions. Makes the whole system more reliable.
Tech really is a game changer everywhere. Consumers Research also mentioned ICT's impact specifically in Africa.
Absolutely. Mobile apps and services are getting vital info to farmers there: weather forecasts, market prices, best practices. It directly helps increase productivity and tackle food security issues.
But modern farming still faces environmental challenges, right?
Oh, for sure. Consumers Research mentions strategies like adopting more sustainable practices, developing eco-friendly tech, reducing reliance on chemical fertilizers and pesticides, using renewable energy. It's a multi-pronged approach.
And lignin-based photothermal materials. That sounds niche.
A bit. Consumers Research suggests these materials, derived from lignin, a natural part of plants, could be a sustainable way to turn sunlight into heat for farming. Potentially another tool for greener agriculture.
Okay, let's jog over to running shoes. Sustainability is a big focus there too, apparently.
Yes, Live Science explored this. Consumers Research points to major material innovations. We're seeing more recycled plastics, biodegradable materials.
Plant-based stuff too.
Yeah, companies are actively using and researching plant-based components to rely less on fossil fuels.
And it's not just the materials, it's how they're made.
Exactly. Consumers Research mentions tech advancements like lightweight, durable materials needing less energy to produce. Plus, things like 3D printing are being used more to create shoes precisely, cutting down material waste.
It feels like we, as consumers, are thinking more about this stuff now. The environmental footprint of our shoes.
Consumers Research confirms that shift. People are definitely more aware of the impact of production, and brands are responding by being more transparent about sourcing and manufacturing.
So our choices actually push companies to change.
Absolutely. Consumers research emphasizes that consumer demand is critical. Our buying decisions send a really clear signal to manufacturers to invest in sustainable options.
But it can't be easy for them, right?
Yeah.
What are the challenges in making sustainable running shoes?
Consumers research outlines several. Sourcing sustainable materials that still perform well for running is tough. Costs can be higher. And then there's the whole issue of avoiding greenwashing.
Greenwashing, making things sound greener than they are.
Precisely. And consumers research explains that really damages consumer trust. People are savvy now. They want real proof of sustainability efforts. False claims backfire.
Are there rules or standards pushing the industry?
Yes, consumers research notes that regulatory bodies are stepping in more, setting standards for environmental impact, waste reduction, use of sustainable materials in the footwear industry.
Okay, from high-performance shoes to everyday eating. NBC New York reported on recession meals becoming more common.
Yeah, and consumers research links this trend back to the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Remember that big GDP contraction back in 2020?
Vaguely, yeah. Economic strain.
Right. That led many people to seek out more affordable ways to eat. Budget-friendly meals became a necessity for lots of folks.
And in tough times, where do people often find food support?
Consumers research highlights the vital role of soup kitchens. They provide essential food aid, especially during economic downturns when demand often spikes.
When people try to stretch their food budget, maybe using cheaper ingredients. Any health concerns there?
Consumers research notes it's something to be mindful of. Using alternative ingredients can change the nutritional profile of meals. Balancing cost and nutrition is key, even on a tight budget.
It's such a complex issue. How do bigger global economic things affect our food prices?
Consumers research explains that broad trends, like expectations about future inflation, can push food prices up. But it's not always a direct link between global and local prices. Local factors matter a lot, too.
And the whole international food trade network. What's new there?
Research mentioned by Consumers Research shows these connections are heavily influenced by geopolitical and economic relationships between countries, not just their size. Understanding these networks helps anticipate potential supply chain issues.
It's a good reminder that politics can hit our wallets, even at the grocery store. Consumers Research also looked at Brexit's potential impact in the UK.
Yes, research suggests different Brexit scenarios could lead to noticeable food price increases in the UK, potentially impacting food security for some.
It really shows how interconnected everything is, and what are the broader implications if more people need to rely on soup kitchens.
Consumers research suggests that increased reliance often signals deeper ongoing issues around food poverty. It highlights the need for robust social safety nets to address the root causes of food insecurity.
Okay, let's switch to allergies, a big topic for many families. How can we allergy-proof our homes, especially thinking about peanuts?
Popular Science offers advice, and the week focused on peanuts. Consumers research lists common allergens: milk, eggs, peanuts, tree nuts, soy, wheat, fish, shellfish, sesame.
A long list, and reactions can be serious.
Very. From mild itching or hives to severe anaphylaxis, which is life-threatening.
So how do people manage these allergies day to day?
Consumers research stresses strict avoidance as number one. That means reading labels obsessively, being careful about cross-contamination when cooking, and always having an action plan. Often that includes carrying an epinephrine auto-injector.
There's also that idea about introducing allergens early to kids.
Yes, consumers research suggests that controlled early introduction, especially for high-risk infants, might help prevent allergies later on, like peanuts. But crucially, this needs guidance from a doctor. Don't just try it at home without advice.
Right, medical guidance is key. Is tech helping with allergy management?
Definitely. Consumers research mentions digital tools like Diet Helper. You can scan barcodes and it flags ingredients you're allergic to. Makes shopping way easier and safer.
That sounds amazing. I also saw something about Bayesian methods in allergy research.
Yeah, Consumers Research explains these are statistical tools used in food challenge studies. They help researchers get a more precise idea of how much of an allergen might trigger a reaction. Helps define safe levels more accurately.
Refining safety thresholds. And thinking about food sources, Consumers Research mentioned sustainability.
Yeah, things like minimizing food miles, how far food travels. Supporting local organic producers might offer safer options with less risk of cross-contamination for allergy sufferers.
Okay, let's zero in on peanut allergies. The week highlighted rising numbers.
It's concerning. Consumers research, referencing a 2021 study, notes prevalence in Europe and the U.S. is around 1.4% to 2%, and that number has significantly increased over the last couple of decades.
Wow. But there's hope with early introduction.
Yes, consumers research reiterates that introducing peanut foods early, maybe even from 4 months for high-risk babies, again with medical advice, might help prevent the allergy developing.
And diagnosis is getting better too, that Australian hospital study.
Right, the Royal Children's Hospital study from 2015. Consumers research highlights how their two-step approach using skin prick tests and specific IgE blood tests significantly cut down the need for oral food challenges.
Which are stressful and resource intensive.
Exactly. And now, machine learning is also playing a part.
How so?
Consumers research points to models that can predict the outcome of those oral food challenges with high accuracy. Helps figure out who's likely to react.
So we're getting better at pinpointing true allergies.
Seems like it. Consumers research acknowledges diagnosis is complex, but these advances make it more precise and less burdensome.
And those standard tests, IgE antibodies and skin pricks, what do they tell doctors?
Consumers research explains they identify the immune system's specific response to peanut proteins. They help gauge the likelihood of a reaction, often used together for a clearer picture.
And just quickly, what are the main symptoms people should look out for with peanut allergies?
Consumers research lists skin reactions like hives, itching, swelling, breathing problems like wheezing, stomach issues, and, of course, the most severe, anaphylaxis.
Okay, last topic, finding some calm. That legs up on the wall yoga pose. What's the big deal?
HuffPost explored this simple pose. Consumers research highlights several benefits. Better blood circulation, less swelling and tiredness in legs and feet, lower back pain relief, and just generally calming the nervous system promotes relaxation.
Sounds pretty accessible. How does it stack up against, more intense yoga inversions?
Much more approachable. Consumers research notes it's great for beginners or those with limitations, unlike headstands or shoulder stands, but you still get benefits like improved circulation.
Is there actual science behind inversions helping?
Consumers research mentions that research does support yoga's physiological benefits, including inverted poses. Things like improvements in strength, flexibility, balance, even mental well-being.
Should anyone avoid this pose?
Yes, consumers research advises caution if you have glaucoma or uncontrolled high blood pressure. Best to check with a doctor first. Pregnant women should also get medical advice before trying new poses.
It seems really gentle. Is it even exercise?
Well, consumers research calls it a form of passive exercise. It's not building muscle dynamically, but gravity helps with circulation and lymphatic drainage. Good for well-being and relaxation.
Can you make it even better? Use props.
Definitely. Consumers research talks about using bolsters or blankets under the hips for support. Improves spine alignment, lets you relax deeper if you hold the pose longer.
So it's good for the mind too, not just the body.
Absolutely. Consumers research emphasizes that yoga generally and restorative poses like this one specifically really contribute to mental well-being. Helps cut stress, anxiety, improves mood, maybe even sleep.
Wow, okay. From the tiny world of strawberry antioxidants and allergens to the simple power of putting our legs up, we've covered a lot of ground today. It's really fascinating seeing the connections, isn't it? Consumer choices, health, tech, the economy, it's all linked.
It really is. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We genuinely hope this exploration offered some valuable insights, maybe a few of those aha moments.
And now, a final thought for you to chew on. Reflecting on this rise of Barbara, wanting sustainable shoes, and also becoming more aware of our own internal narratives, our self-talk. How might understanding our personal values and motivation better not just what we bought, contribute to a more sustainable, perhaps more equitable world for everyone? Something to think about.